Hello and welcome to the Battle of the Atlantic. What we're going to look at today is the Allies versus the Axis in the battle to feed Britain and Europe as it fights against Nazi tyranny. So a couple things you're going to have to understand about the Battle of the Atlantic is it's mainly a battle, a naval battle that involves U-boats, that does involve air support, and it's Canada's way of, and America's way of feeding and supplying Britain using convoys. So let's take a little look here. If you're interested, you can go online and look at U-571. It's a very inaccurate film. It's an American film that claims that the Americans did find the Enigma code and basically saved the war. And led to basically what we're going to see in the Imitation Game. However, it's really inaccurate. It's the British actually did get the Enigma code machine from U-110 in the North Atlantic in May of 1941. But Americans, when they were deciding to make this film, realized that American audiences prefer to see American actors and Americans winning the day than the British. So the Battle of the Atlantic is really the ongoing struggle for the Allies to keep open her shipping lanes to Britain, and most Allied ships were sunk by U-boats hunting in things called wolf packs and using what were called Rudel tactics. So Admiral Dönitz of the naval admiral of the Nazis was very effective at shipping Allied sinking. He was basically breaking the back of the Allies, and at one point they basically concluded if he continued the way he was going, Britain would have had to forfeit the war. So just want to show you what a convoy looks like. And so you've got destroyers on the outside, and you've got trawlers, and you've got merchant marine, and those are individuals who are selling supplies or bringing supplies to Britain on the inside. And you'll notice a zigzag pattern at the top. So I often ask students in class, why that zigzag pattern? And so if you can reflect for a moment, why do you think? Yeah, as you're thinking there, it's a way to avoid being shot. If you're going in a straight line, U-boats can just kind of look at you and shoot their torpedo and anticipate where you're going. If you're zigzagging and you're all over the place, it's a little bit more difficult to get you. So convoys, large groups of ships with fighter escorts, are meant to stop U-boats and stop the German Navy from attacking. They also have things called depth charges that they can drop, which are explosives that explode once they reach a certain depth. So they would anticipate where the submarines were, and then they would blow those things up. So I just want to show you a chart here, and I find this incredibly fascinating. So if you look in 1939, you can see that 222 merchant ships were lost and only 9 out of 57 U-boats. In 1940, look at that dramatic increase in merchant ships lost. A few U-boats lost here. 1941, a dramatic increase. By 1942, you can see that there's 1,664 merchant ships lost and 86 U-boats. This is unsustainable. There's enough shipping going to the bottom of the Atlantic that Britain simply can't continue to fight the war effort. But in 1943, you can see sort of when they crack the Enigma code in the movie Imitation Game that we're going to see, because all of a sudden merchant ships, there's only 597 that are lost, 243 U-boats, and you can see that from here on in there's fewer and fewer ships lost and more U-boats, and that really turns the tide in the war. So what really turned that tide? Number one, long-range aircraft were able to cooperate with naval support groups using radar. They were able to follow those convoys. Allies were punching through the soft underbelly of Europe in Italy, so at that point Hitler's forces are concerned elsewhere. At that time they're also indiscriminately bombing German cities, which is taking the heat off the Battle of the Atlantic, as well as it's ruining some German manufacturing of ball bearings and other things like that, and oil. They're also raiding French ports, so U-boats were deployed there instead of the Battle of the Atlantic. So basically we're taking the heat off of that battle. And then once, of course, Uncle Sam gets involved in the war, that really gets the Nazis and the Japanese nervous and concerned, and that's just another enemy to fight as well. All right, so what's the significance of the victory in the Battle of the Atlantic? It kept the supply lines open, which were sort of the umbilical cord between North America and Britain, ensuring that they survived. And really, the British couldn't run the war without supplies. The Allies couldn't run them without supplies. So at that point, because of this tremendous victory and cracking the Enigma code and finding out what German naval movements were, because they could actually understand where they were going and what their orders were, they were able to win the war. Thanks very much for watching.